It's Meryl Goldsmith with John Mayer, who's the executive director of the Amesbury Carriage Museum, and we are in the middle at Amesbury Industrial Supply. This is actually the other side on the third floor of the building that the museum is in the back of, as the museum faces the mill yard. Is that just like super confusing or what?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So Greg Jardis, it is so great to see you. We're standing in your space. There's customers around, and we're standing in the middle of some pretty classic-looking hardware as well. So this is a fun space.
It is, and we have a lot of fun with our customers and our suppliers and our community. So it is a great place to work, and you know, even at lunchtime we have fun by playing cards every day.
Old school.
Old school.
Since 1985, is that when did it open?
We moved this the hardware store from Main Street to here on October 3rd, 1983.
Oh wow!
And we actually, with my involvement in this building, we started the Milliard project. So we were the frontier, sort of on the edge of the frontier in Amesbury with starting this project.
So can we like help with your card game a little bit at lunchtime? So
Absolutely.
I want to make sure that everybody does know that the reason the Industrial History Center is where it is you're technically our landlord. Well, you really are our landlord, right? You pretty much gifted the space to the Industrial History Center, and it's time to pay rent.
Here is your rent. Thank you, Greg Jardis. People ask. We don't have a mortgage, we have a lease for 99 years.
That.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Now,
Don't spend it in one place.
Yeah.
well, I tell you what I'm going to do. First of all, it'll certainly go to my tax return. And number two, it's going to go to my tax return as a contribution back to the museum.
Thank you, Greg Jardis.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
Up
just
with everything
wonderful.
else you've done for us.
Oh.
You're too kind. Thank you.
Well, thank you for letting us have a little fun with you
Well,
today.
easy come, easy go.
I guess so. Yeah, really.
Exactly.
So, tell me a little bit about this wonderful building. I mean, if you come into Amesbury Industrial Supply, you see the brickwork, you see the old beams. You know, even though it looks modern with the shelving and the supplies that are here, this building is terrific.
Oh, it's an exceptional building. The building is 52,000 square feet. It's 5 floors of 200 by 50, plus these incredible stairways on both sides of the building, so it makes up to 52,000 square feet. The building was built in 1826, originally powered by water, and I'm sure John can talk about that, and he's enlightened
love
me.
to talk about it.
A lot of the history about how the water flew through here.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you know, we're all very proud to say that this is the first net zero building in Amesbury for electricity.
So tell me what that means.
That means that the 160 panels on the roof here produce more electricity than we use.
So do you sell it back to the grid?
I put it back in the grid. It even heats my house.
Wow.
So we are approaching 70 megawatts for the year. In fact, we should probably hit it tomorrow if the snow ever melts off the panels, which I've been looking at all day. But so the flow goes back in, and of course there's a couple of times a year that we have to pay for electricity. But what I'm thinking about in the future of doing is putting up some Tesla power walls, which means
awesome.
I can store the extra power,
Yeah.
and it's just here in case we have an outage or something.
Or if it snows or the panels get covered and
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, I think John, it's kind of a full circle thing because the building produced its own power
Right.
to begin with, right?
Right.
And when
Now it's
there
doing
was floor work, right, being done in the Industrial History Center, wasn't there something discovered underneath that floor?
Well, we knew that there had been the tail races for the water that came through the building. So you're right, that early use with its water wheels, and it made its own energy that it used to power it, just like Greg's doing today. I think, you know, for me, what's so amazing about this space is the business that's here. This is as valuable and as important as the historical story we want to tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
I mean, there are not many standalone, privately owned businesses like this that attract people from all over.
That's absolutely true. in most of the big cities, the real estate has become so valuable that people have sold their buildings. And of course, a lot of times, people who have been in a hardware business for years, I mean, they run out of time. So their families might not want to run their business. So as far as I know, you know, all the big old stores in Lawrence are gone, Lowell they're gone, Nashua, and you know, even south of here. So for a building of this size and what we've created inside, it's pretty unique today.
You know what's also unique are your employees. I mean, you know, Steve Sanuski I've known forever, and he's actually worked here, I don't want to say forever, sorry Steve, I don't want to date you or anything, but he's been here for a couple of years, so, along with some other people, right?
Well, yeah, Steve and Jim and Scott have been out here over 40 years.
That's amazing.
And they are absolutely probably the biggest asset. The three guys who help manage the company and all of our employees. And if you ever check out reviews, just some sterling things are said about the people who work here and this kind of service level that they give and they expect to give, because, you know, we're old school. You know, somebody comes in and wants to give you money, you should give them what they need in a pleasant and in a fair way. And some people tell me how unique that is, and I say, well,
it's kind of sad.
It's kind of sad. I
Yeah.
said, you know, but they somehow they have it backwards. And I said, no, you're doing us the favor. So, yeah, but I really do think that the key element for the success of this business for so many years are the men who work here. No doubt in my mind.
I mean, John, you know, maybe generations ago somebody would stay in a job for 40 years, right?
Right.
You know, when we were talking with, it's Bart Bailey about the car, and he's talking about, you know, his family's factory and, you know, how they could track how many years people worked there. But in this day and age, I mean, you know, if somebody is even at a place for a year, it seems like a long time. I mean, it's amazing.
Well,
compliment to you, Greg.
Well, thank you. And I wouldn't be here without them. I'm going to be very honest with you. You know, not one person can run a law firm or run a studio or run a museum or run a, you know, a restaurant. It's all about the people, and that's the greatest asset. And another asset I always consider as well is the companies that sell to us, the salespeople who come in here. You know, we treat them with respect. We pay our bills really quick. So if we need something, we need a favor, it's done. So it's taking care of people who really take care of you. You know, it's just, you know, it's something I was taught by my dad, who just instilled some incredible values in me about retail and working hard, and you know, the old Merrimack Valley way of doing things. You roll up your sleeves and kick you know what.
You know, it's interesting because I think one of our opportunities when we do programming downstairs is sending kids into the store to look for hardware or parts. But you know, that interaction with your staff is going to have as much meaning to them as the things that we teach them about technology and the way things work.
Exactly.
That's a really important element.
And you know, one of the core values that we've established here for many, many years, it's just not something brand new. We try to buy as much American-made product as possible. And it's really key, and you know what? A lot of our customers really want it. You know, they don't want to buy cheap stuff that they have to replace. And you know, they run union shops or, you know, two-people shops or whatever they do. You know, they appreciate American-made, and that, you know, they are keeping it going. And to us, it's really a key thing. I'm not saying everything we buy is American-made, because not everything is, but
by making that effort to do that, Greg,
oh, absolutely,
I just think is wonderful, and you know, that just helps every part of the economy. Absolutely does.
It certainly does. And let's face it, we've gone through a tough year for our country and for the world, and you know, it's helped my business, but it's really hurt a lot of people and a lot of other businesses. So that's
frightening time.
Yeah, and that's goes to another one of the things that we try to do here. Every year we give 10% of our net profits back, and that's usually between $24,000 and $30,000 a year to many different organizations. You know, we help feed people. We certainly believe in history and museums, and you know, helping those in need, which is really key to us, you know, because I heard a great quote the other day. It was from Denzel Washington, and he does a lot, but this quote was really, really important to me. He said, "I'm not going to take it with me, so I might as well leave it here." So that's something we try to do, you know, every day, and to help many, many organizations who need help.
Well, you've been impressive with your lead support for us. I know with Lindsay at our neighbor's table.
Thank you.
And those two, I mean, we do something about people's identity and connecting them to their community after they've been fed and given a place to eat. You know, I think that they work together, and your support is so important.
Well, thank you. Well, I could try to put it this way. As a kid, if I had a nickel, man, I was a happy boy on Saturday. And now that I have a couple of nickels, I'm really happy to share as much as I can. And, you know, I won't be here forever, and I would like to set up some things to help people while I'm still here.
Well, we're going to have something really special.
I know.
COVID has knocked us for a loop.
Well,
and we all are waiting for that day where we can be in here and doing our programs with
well,
you.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So, have you been downstairs in the Industrial History Center recently?
Oh, about 35 minutes ago.
Oh! Well, you know what? Our viewers haven't, so why don't we go down there and take a quick look-see. And again, thank you, Greg, for just everything.
Well, and thank you for coming to our shop and for all the kind things you've said, and being a friend of Steve, who's really dear to me here. And I appreciate everything that our community does for me and for us, and for helping us to give back. Remember, we've already received the gift, we're just sharing it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Greg.
Meryl, John, Frank.
We haven't been inside this space in a couple of weeks, and if you happen to be in the mill yard, you can look and see that big pile of granite that John and I were standing in front of a few weeks ago is now starting to take shape as a wall on the outside. And inside, the reason that the floor is covered with this paper is that there's a beautifully finished floor
Right.
underneath, and we're trying to protect it, right?
Floors have been finished. Walls have their first coat of paint on it. We're waiting for the drop ceiling to be installed, and then our trim work begins in about 3 weeks.
I mean, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's going to be, we get through the holidays, and then we'll pick back up, and there's a lot of activity scheduled. So we'll keep moving along.
I know, the space is just, how do you feel, Greg, when you're like standing down here? This used to be storage, right?
Yeah, this was an old warehouse space, you know, a lot dustier than it is today. And
It's hard to believe.
You know, John and his crew of many women and men have been really focusing on getting this done, and it's really transforming the old mill too into, and it's going to be just a beautiful museum.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for everybody who's going to get the chance to walk through and to visit and see part of our rich history of this incredible town, and what many factory workers did, and many engineers did, and designers, and get a real feel for the history of this incredible town.
I think of that every time I'm in this space. The sound of the feet that were here, the machines that were running, the work that people did. It's a pretty amazing space, and you have a great story to tell.
I could only imagine if you could go back to the future, that some of the folks that worked in this space would be very proud of the ability that John and a bunch of his friends can put together this incredible material that was created by these, hardworking people back in the 1700s and 1800s, and just and the 1900s.
Yeah, there's a lot to tell.
There's quite a story, and let alone of what's going to be created every day here in our wonderful city going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we can almost see that, right?
Exactly.
You know, it's almost here. You know, I don't think there could be a more perfect space for the Industrial History Center. And, you know, we just can't wait to show it to the world. And, you know, every time we come down here, it seems closer and closer to a reality.
We're making progress.
We are.
We're trying to get there.
And Greg, thank you again for letting us, you know, come into the store and to, you know, just
Yep.
give us a little info about you and about the great impact that you've had on our community. We appreciate it. I think I can't even think of the right words to show our appreciation.
Well, you're very kind with those words, and I'll ask everybody watching, if you have an extra $5 or $10 or $100 bill, help us get this finished, and you'll be really proud of what's been happening here, and be a part of this. It's really important.
Thank you, Greg.
To go forward and to be proud of, you know, of your families. A lot of people watching, your grandfather, great-grandfather might have been a factory worker. Your grandmother could have been, you know, working alongside, because I know they were. So let's give this the respect, and let's get this done, and help us get us to the finish line, please.